What's up? Welcome to the podcast. We're here with filmmaker Chris von Hoffmann. What's up, Chris?
Just taking it hour by hour in this very bizarre alternative universe that we're all living in right now, but trying to keep the brain as busy as possible. So,
I love that perspective. That's a good perspective. Bizarre alternative universe, for
yeah,
sure.
it's World War III in a weird way, but no bombs are going off, thank God.
It's so weird. It's real mental. You know what I mean? Everything that's going on. It's
Real
not like
metal,
mental.
mental, yeah. It is
It's not
very
direct.
yeah, especially like all the riots and the protesting yesterday, and it just keeps on. We just got to make it to January 20th, and hopefully that'll start shifting gears a little bit. So,
Yeah. It's just like the amount of different perspectives is like annoying. I found him off the Film Courage interview. How'd you get that interview? Really inspiring.
I've been watching their videos for like a couple years before that, and I just it was as simple as I just hit up my manager and asked if they could reach out. And my manager's assistant just got back to me, within like a week after I asked, and then it kind of just pretty happened pretty efficiently after that. It's pretty
Yeah,
straightforward.
yeah. And then after that, I checked out your movies, and I checked out Drifter, and then Monster Party. I think it was like right before Monster Party came out.
Yeah,
And
yeah, it
which
was
one of the two? Which one of the two did you prefer that you made?
Monster Party.
Yeah,
I think Drifter was kind of like more of like an experimental film, kind of like an exercise in style more than like a traditional narrative. And I got a lot of shit for it too when it came out. Like a lot of people like totally misunderstood what that thing was.
I was reading
But
interviews about it, and you were explaining how it was like you were really like angry at the time you were writing it, or something, or like you had a weird mindset when you were writing it, like about how your life was going, and that really seeped into the movie. Would you say that like your personal life seeped into the movie, even though it doesn't appear so, because it's a cannibal movie?
yeah, emotionally so. Yeah, I mean, obviously none of it's like not obviously none of it's like autobiographical, but like
Yeah.
emotionally, definitely. I I don't know. I'd been making a lot of short films before that, and they never kind of were really taking me to the next kind of level that I really want. No representation really seemed to care about those short films for years, and I was getting really frustrated for a long time because I hadn't gone like the film school or college. I hadn't gone down that path, so I kind of had um, so I didn't have that kind of leg up. I just at that by the time I made Drifter, I was just sort of like, well, let me just kind of make this sort of homage experience, and I'll use like the I guess just kind of reflect how I was feeling at that time to kind of just go nuts and not really care about traditional narrative and kind of go beyond like a traditional movie, which I didn't really feel was I
Yeah.
wasn't really interested in making a traditional movie when I made that movie.
Yeah, it's not just a bunch of cannibal mayhem. Something a bit more to it. And I found funny in the interview you did about it. It was like you were explaining how like people were like poorly marketing it as like some Mad Max type movie and shit. And I just thought that was
Yeah,
funny. Um,
yeah. There were a couple like foreign posters that were not at all what that they were saying. It was like the Book of Eli meets Mad. I mean, it has like elements of Mad Max in there for sure, but the thing, it's its own species, and
do you
when you
care for
start
the
to
Mad Max movies though?
yeah, I mean, I love I love Road Warrior, and I love Thunderdome's the one that I remember the most because it's just so ridiculous. I mean, it's just so sprawling, and
Yeah.
Fury Road, I dug it. I wanted a little bit more meat to it, but I liked
Yeah.
it.
What I liked about the Road Warrior is the opposite. Why I like Fury Road. The Road Warrior is a bit more calm and realistic, but the Fury Road's completely fucking unrealistic and in your face. So like I like them for different reasons.
For sure, yeah, that's kind of how I feel about all like the Alien movies, like the first four. Like I love all four of them for completely different reasons. You
Yeah,
know?
I think I'd start to feel that way about a lot of different franchises in general, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Just like not every I like when franchises have movies that aren't all the fucking same. Like why does every movie have to be the same? And that's why like I don't know, just you look at certain like for instance Star Wars, the newer movies try to replicate the old stuff instead of build something new. That's my opinion. But I don't know. But let me think of another example where that is like that. Like, oh yeah, so I was back to Mad Max. So I look at Beyond Thunderdome as the way I look at like the prequels. Cool lore, but not really like a amazing movie. Just like cool lore. You learn a lot of new things and stuff like that. I don't know, I just feel like I gotta say that. So why do you prefer Monster Party over Drifter?
I think it's just I think it was I think the script is a lot stronger, but also I think it got across tonally what I had been trying to do for a lot, because I'm generally a happy guy, but
Yeah,
I'm not like hardcore. Especially as I get older, I get less and less like nihilistic about and cynical about. I have more of like a cynical sense of humor than an actual cynical point of view on things, and Monster Party I think was the first time that I was able to. I felt good about. I was able to get that sense of humor through, which is because I started out wanting to make dark comedies before horror films, and I prefer dark comedies more than horror films. And
yeah.
like I wanted to make stuff like Eastbound and Down and like Jody Hill kind of stuff, and that was my like observe and report. Like I want to make
Eastbound
that kind of stuff.
is that the one that's like a TV show, right? Eastbound and Down.
Yeah, with Kenny Powers, like
The
Danny McBride.
baseball player,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
fucking.
like,
That's. I watched a couple episodes of that. That gives me like Joe Dirt vibes a little bit, but like better.
uh, yeah. Well, I just like the sort of because that. I mean, even Joe Dirt's a little bit more like mainstreamy, like Vice Principals and Eastbound and Down. They kind of have like that. And Observe and Report, like I love that movie. Like that had that where it was super grounded and gritty, but it was so over the top at the same time, and really kind of like had a very sort of dark red sense of humor. Like that's the kind of stuff
Like you
that,
like
and I
them late
guess
night comedies, you know what I mean? But like still like but violent late night comedies.
yeah. Well, I mean, like I'm not like I don't always, I'm not like all about. It might seem like it, but I'm not like all about violence. I like more like violent tones.
Okay.
Like very self-destructive characters. I'm more interested in than actual literal violence on screen.
You like writing about like uh people who are messed up, it seems.
Yeah, but like people that like you wouldn't completely
Care
write
about
off.
or like agree with. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, people who are like self-destructive people, but like there's something about them that you like.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
Like I like
I,
that
f-
stuff.
I find that in like Patrick Bateman or something. Many of Bret Easton Ellis's characters. I've been like
Yeah,
going down his fucking bibliography. It's like
yeah. I love Bret Easton Ellis.
he has a real good podcast too.
Yeah, no, I've listened to it. Yeah, I mean, I love like the Rules of Attraction.
Yeah.
That's like one of my favorite films. I like that director a lot. Roger Avery,
Avery. Oh,
like Tarantino's old partner.
did you see Lucky Day? I haven't.
I did. I rented it. Yeah, because I've been following it because he had been developing that for like a decade, and I didn't quite work. I thought it was very well shot and technically well executed. I just didn't. It didn't fully work. I thought it was kind of past its prime, that kind of movie. But I love Killing Zoe.
So you're saying
His
like if that
first
movie
film.
came out in like 2005 or 2007, it would have been like more better received.
Probably, yeah. But I love Killing Zoe, his first film that he
Oh,
made, like in the midst of like Reservoir Dogs when that was happening. Like Killing Zoe, I actually like more than Reservoir Dogs.
yeah. So
It's
he
more
was
my
he was
type
real
of thing.
buddies with Tarantino at the time,
Yeah,
and they
and
co-wrote fucking the movie on that poster right there. You know what I'm saying?
Pulp Fiction, yeah,
Yeah.
True Romance too, and yeah, I think Roger Avery is because I've watched a lot of interviews with him, and he's kind of has an intellectual side about him that I think is really fascinating. And he's not all about genre films. You know, The Rules of Attraction is not a genre film. You know, it's a satire on college life and
Yeah.
that people of that age range that I thought was fascinating.
Yeah, like Bret Easton Ellis, because it's obviously adapted from a Bret Easton Ellis books. He like takes like a certain demographic of people and like just like, you know what I mean, like a group of people that he like wants to make fun of because he doesn't like, he kind of low key hates them. You know what I mean? Like the rich Wall Street person, he doesn't want to explicitly show that he would rather write that than say that he hates those type of people.
For sure, yeah.
Like. Less Than Zero too, dude. There's this scene in Less Than Zero. Like, have you read Less Than Zero?
I have. It's been a while, but I remember the film not really doing the book justice.
I didn't see the movie. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm weird with that. Like, I read the Misery book. Never watched the movie. Don't. I
Really?
feel like I should though, but.
Yeah, I like Misery a lot. The film, yeah.
But like, there's a certain like horrifying ass scene in it. But like the horrifying scenes in Less Than Zero which aren't like the whole movie. You know what I mean? They don't have to be the whole movie. There's like a horrifying scene.
Yeah, like the book of American Psycho is even more hardcore than the film. And the film is pretty hardcore.
Yeah, like I was reading about like I didn't read the book as soon as I saw the movie. Like I watched the movie then read the book, but like I read online that the book had like crazy fucking necrophilia in it. And I was like, "Oh, wow. I don't know if I want to watch it." And then I don't know if I want to read it. And then I listened to the audiobook, and I was like, okay, this is not that bad. I mess with audiobooks more, if I'll be honest. It's just like a go and run and gun type thing.
Yeah.
So what is appealing to you about like gore in movies, making them? Because I'd say your movies have a decent amount of them. What's appealing about it?
Well, I mean, it's funny because I'm not really like a gore guy. Like just those films. I feel like if you're gonna make a horror movie that has like a slasher framework, you better just kind of go nuts with it and go all the way with it. So I did with those movies, but I'm not really. Most of the scripts that I write don't. That's not your main idea.
No,
I wouldn't consider myself to be like a splatter guy, even though those two films are technically kind of, you can write them off as like splatter movies. But yeah, I'm not really. I like more. I guess, but I do like the. It's interesting because I've been sort of moving away from that of late.
Yeah, your new movie you said was like very similar to your Blue short film, which I thought was like awesome. Like I think you DM'd me about it like a while ago. I was like, you were like, do you want to show any detail, any information about how this new feature is like Blue?
Well, I think it's more. I'd say it's a more like internal experience. It's more like a character-based
internal struggle.
Yeah, I mean, it's more about like the human condition, more like an emotional experience than a slasher movie. It's not a slasher movie. It's more like kind of like Angel Heart a little bit with Mickey Rourke. It's kind of like that.
I like that.
Yeah, it was an Alan Parker film from 1987. It's kind of also like a Enemy with Jake Gyllenhaal. There's just kind of, it's kind of more in line with those kind of films. Which is the stuff that I prefer over like. You're talking to someone who's a hardcore like fan of like Friday the 13th franchises and Nightmare on Elm Street. Like I love all that stuff. It's like I'm not acting like some sort of snob. But like this film is not. It's like a psychological kind of experience.
Yeah. I'm not trying like. So you're not like a snob when it comes to like the movies. You're just weirdly specific. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I like everything. I was just watching Palms last night with Diane Keaton. You know, it's like I watch everything. You know, I just watch anything that kind of holds my attention.
Yeah, like I like movies about normal people, and then I like movies about not normal people. You know what I mean? Like it just really depends on the mood. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
if I want to
well,
have fun, I'm gonna put on like Blowout, like John Travolta.
love
Like
it.
if I'm in the mood, like if I want to be like if I want to get hype, you know what I mean? Because it's like real thrilling and shit like that. But like I'll watch, but like, if I'm really feeling like not sad, but like you know what I mean, just like bored and like real bored and stuff, or I want to feel like something where I can relate to it, I'll put on like Rushmore or something, some real
Love
Wes Anderson type movie. Um, I'm a Wes Anderson stan. I've been getting into Noah Baumbach as well. I love what is that? Not the Mayweather stories. The Meyerowitz.
The Meyer, yeah, the Netflix film. I like that.
Yeah,
I love Kicking and Screaming, his first film.
I want to check that out so bad.
Yeah, with Eric. I think yeah, like Parker Posey's in it. I think Eric Stoltz is in it. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a really good like '90s like indie cast.
there's something about them '90s indie movies that I don't think everybody just got into it. You know what I mean? Like the
It was a
filmmaker.
great. It was, you could argue like the '90s was kind of a combination of the '70s and the '80s, because you had all these like cheesy like Studio B movies coming out, like Judge Dredd and Con Air and all that, which were very '80s kind of influenced, and then but there was also this like birth of like '70s redux kind of indie movements with Kevin Smith and Tarantino and P.T. Anderson, David Fincher. So I
Yeah,
mean, it was kind of like combination of both decades.
I really mess with Clerks a lot. Like, I like Clerks because it's like relatable to the everyday man. You know what I mean? Like that blue collar
Yeah,
type
well,
person.
that's
That's
yeah.
why
Kevin Smith is very much like a everyday man kind of filmmaker.
yeah, like just those stupid ass conversations about Star Wars just make the fucking movie. You know what I mean? Like it
Right.
doesn't have to be about 30 different things happening at once. Yeah, there is an arc for the main character, but it's like, you know what I mean? It's still good, even though there's not like the whole movie isn't about the arc, but it kind of
Right.
is. Um, like the main character of Monster Party. I think the ending for his character, because he like saves his dad at the end,
Right.
was the violent behavior at the end of Monster Party like a result of like the horrible situation he was in the whole movie? Would you say
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. I mean, I sort of looked at it like he kind of like the mansion almost was like kind of a haunted house that kind of possessed him into becoming a killer. And when he left there and went back to his everyday world, it's like he had transformed. He had sort of inherited being the last remaining survivor of his group. He sort of inherited this behavior and
Yeah.
brought it back into his world.
Yeah, I would say like that's really what made the movie was like
Yeah.
when he took the past experiences with him into the fucking future, like with him and
Right.
stuff
Right.
like that. And did you always have that idea from the start, or was that just like at the end? I was
I
like,
I can't actually take I can't take what's the word? I can't take ownership of that twist in the ending, of him going. I mean, him saving the father was always like my idea, like, killing the guy that was holding him hostage, but killing the people in the strip club and becoming this like violent massacre thing. That was actually the producer Brian Kavanaugh Jones's idea, which I was a little sort of taken aback by at first, because it was just so like, it felt at the time like super like a little too over the top. But then I felt like, well, the whole film is kind of like heightened at that point. So yeah, we just sort of said fuck it and did that. And yeah, it's I mean, some people like, I mean, there's always gonna be some people that feel like it was like too out of left field, but most people seem to enjoy that climax.
yeah, like so basically you're saying the idea of the end was always in your head, but the specifics of it were detailed by your producer.
Yeah, who's an awesome producer, and he was really championing the project from the beginning, and he was he's great.
Have you been working with him before the project, or did you work on
Before
Drifter?
the no, he well, my manager, his office, well, now they're all working remotely now, but his office, my manager's office was adjacent to the producer's office. It was like a production company and a management company together. It's kind of like Siamese
Yeah,
twins. So they kind of all knew each other, and like he came on once my manager brought me on as a client, and then the whole thing kind of snowballed from there. And he's really a super zen kind of producer, and he's super successful at what he does, and I really respect. He produced like a lot of Jeff Nichols films, and he's getting into like the podcast fiction shows now, which are blowing up, and
yeah. I've been learning about that. Like, I was watching like an interview with someone from Glee. I don't watch Glee. This guy just does really good interviews on his channel, and he interviewed one of the members of Glee, and she was like started her own podcast, like mystery show and something like that, and like it's just cool to see that like type of stuff going to podcasting, because like you have podcasts that are just like normal interviews like this, but I occasionally like I go in a different territory, and I like do film reviews on other like podcasts that I run and stuff like that. Like there always has, like, it's fun to do interviews, but it seemed like it would be cool to, like, I don't know, read an audiobook that I wrote or something like that.
for sure.
Like, yeah, it's just shouts out to anybody else in the podcasting world. Like, yeah. You had a segment of the movie Phobias.
Right.
Like, what was that segment about? It's like about like certain fears. Is it released? Like, what do you know about that movie? Like, besides your
Well,
segment?
yeah. I mean, it's been a long I mean, I know a distributor picked it up, but there hasn't been. I think they're just figuring things out for COVID. I think there hasn't been a release date, but it has been bought. It premiered at a film festival right before the lockdown in Northern California. Right back in February last year, and then everything kind of shut down with festival screenings. But it will be getting released this year. I just don't know when. But yeah, the segment. I mean, Radio Silence was the executive producer on the film, the guys that directed Ready or Not. And so I got to know them a little bit, and they're
Yeah.
awesome. Like, they're like, some of the coolest. I mean, they deserve all the success they're getting. They're just such genuine talents and such genuine people. But
What was your segment though?
my segment was it was a pretty straightforward, like I just wanted to do something like really simple, because I knew it was gonna be like a pretty tight schedule, so I just wanted to do something really straightforward, and just kind of it was a straightforward home invasion story, like three teenage kids that break into a teacher's home.
What was the phobia though that you were
It
detailing?
was like fear of like teenagers. It was called a phobophobia,
That's
which
fun.
is like fear of young people.
So, what was the perspective of the character? Was like an old guy?
That was a woman. Actually, Seth Rogen's wife played the character.
Oh shit.
And she's also a director in her own right. She made a film called Like Father with Kristen Bell on Netflix, which is a pretty solid drama comedy.
Like
but
Father.
yeah, like comma Father.
Oh, I saw the trailer for that, and I never watched the
Yeah,
movie, but it looked fucking like really good.
yeah. It's a solid, like, Kristen Bell's really good in it. Kelsey Grammer's really good.
Like
Uh,
family drama, but not for
yeah,
family. Like about
it's a
themes
little
of
bit.
family. You know
I'd
what I
say
mean?
it's a little bit more mature than your traditional family dramedy. Like, it's it's not like a straight comedy. It's a drama with comedy throughout it, I'd say.
Yeah,
Uh,
but like the whole like abandoned father type theme. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
that's
yeah,
what I mean by family, not by like sit down with the fam.
yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but she was like, because she doesn't do uh, that much dramatic work as an actress, but she has the face for it. And she's done a lot of like comedy stuff that she's written and starred in. But I don't know. I had a coffee. I had a coffee with her, and we just talked about the character, and she was just, she got it, and
Yeah.
she wanted to do it, which is always like super crucial when someone just really wants to do it to prove something. Like, that's really really important. And And yeah, I mean, but I had no idea if she could really pull off like some like weighty dramatic work. It was kind of a gamble, to be honest, but I think she worked out really well. She really impressed me, and so yeah, I mean that shoot went very smoothly because it was the same producer, one of the same producers of Monster Party, and so I kind of knew what I was getting myself into with like a tight schedule, so I definitely planned accordingly.
So you're saying like
So
when you do frequent collaborations, it's a more smoother process than getting to know somebody? Like,
yeah, well, like yeah, well, Monster Party was a very uh, a huge learning curve for me, because it was new people, mostly all new people that I was working with, and I had a system for a while before that,
yeah.
and this was completely different.
Yeah. Like, there's certain things about like having frequent people on the podcast where like you have like you always have a smooth rhythm with them when you're talking with them. So you're saying like you got a smooth rhythm with like the producers that you consistently work with. Like you just, you know what I mean? You know their preferences, they know your preferences.
Yeah, I mean, I think yeah, like when you make a couple features, I mean, you should at that point kind of know what you're doing, and know you kind of pick and choose and start to really sculpt the team that works for you personally, because like the people that you're doing business with is very, very important, and it's in some ways it's more important than the actual product that you're putting out. It's like it's all about relationships, and there has to be a chemistry, because it's gonna be a long, making movies. It's a tricky, it's a long road.
Yeah. Yeah, so I had a question about Shudder. Were you a fan of that streaming service before your film was an exclusive on it?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really. I actually just subscribed to Shudder like 6 months ago.
I
So
appreciate the honesty.
yeah. Well, I mean, I'd watched. I no, that's not tech. I did subscribe to it long before Monster Party got acquired by it. But I think it was right in the beginning when they started, and for some reason the internet connection was just not working on it for some reason for me. So I went off of it, and then I went back on it. And yeah, I mean, there's some. I think Shudder's only getting better. I feel like now they're like producing
Yeah.
their own originals, and like they've only been around for so long, so like they're only going to get better with the material they're putting out.
They have this one guy that does film reviews on it. Like he did Chud. Like he reviewed Chud. I don't know if you know that movie.
The Dwellers, the Underground Dwellers.
Dude, I'm
film.
gonna look this guy up, but it's like
John Hurd. Was it John Hurd?
he's there's some guy from Home Alone in it.
Yeah, John Hurd.
Yeah, yeah, dude, it's just like that guy has a real cool show on it where like he stops it in the middle and like counts the amount of like deaths or something and talks about it, and it's real like it's not on TV, but it looks like it should be on TV. You know what I mean? Like he's got like the whole studio. Like it's not just some dickhead in their house. You know what I mean?
Are you talking about Joe Bob Briggs?
Yes.
That guy, yeah. He had been doing that for like a couple decades.
Yeah, I read up on him and stuff.
Yeah, they brought him back because he was doing that in like the late '80s, '90s, and then he disappeared for a while. Because he's actually a pretty, because he was in Casino, the Scorsese film.
Yes, he was the guy with, he had like a hat or something, like like a weird ass hat.
He's like the nephew of the mayor.
And he messes around with he puts his foot on the table.
Oh no, that's actually a different guy. But Joe Bob Briggs plays.
No, he's the guy who messes up on the slot machines and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and De Niro kind of really rips his ass. Like just.
The thing about Casino though is I like it better than Goodfellas. I have a real.
I do too. That's we're in good company. Like Casino, I think is And when I have a friend that argues with me about that. He says, "Oh, Casino is like deleted scenes of Goodfellas," and I've known this guy for like 8 years, and I want to like punch him in the face whenever he says that. How dare you say that? I mean, that's such an idiotic.
It's better though. It's like
argument.
The thing about it though is it's not just like some movie about a couple fucking gangsters. It like details the end of an era. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I mean it's a great. I mean, I love the whole I love Las Vegas crime films like The Cooler and
Hard Eight,
Showgirls and Hard Eight. I love Las Vegas as a backdrop. It's
Mall Cop 2. Mall Cop 2. I'm joking.
I only saw the first one, which I don't know why, but I mean, I like a some stupid like I love like Grown Ups and like I love like
Fat
a
Man Fall, haha.
yeah.
That's
I mean,
I don't care. Whatever, it's just like I don't care that it's stupid. Like that's why I like Joe Dirt. Like I have a Joe Dirt poster
no,
because
Joe Dirt's funny.
it's he got a couple
It's
of motivational quotes though, like that whole life's a garden, dig it, make it work for you, keep on keeping
yeah.
on. There might
I'm
be like
cool.
yeah.
It's Kid Rock's funny, and it's no Joe Dirt's like actually my friend was like an assistant editor on Joe Dirt too, because he worked for Crackle for a while, and so he worked with
Crackle is a really good
Red Wolf.
streaming service. Like the
Yeah, I
sequel,
started watching some Crackle
they
recently.
had they had El Mariachi on it, so that was a cool thing to see. And they also had Escape from New York. No, not Escape from New York. Fuck out of here. King of New York with.
I love King of New York.
So I did a video essay about that on my channel, and it's like the highest viewed video on my channel. It's got like 3,000 views, and it's like, oh my god, 3,000 views. But like, all these people were commenting like, King of New York is the best. Like everybody, there's a real crowd that thinks that like King of New York's like the greatest New York gangster movie. And I don't know if I agree with that, but I still respect that like there's a real underground following within like the rap community, because like a lot of the people that commented were like rappers I interview, because I like interview a million rappers because like it's fun to me. So like, because like the reason I found the movie is I was looking at videos on like movies that impacted hip hop, and it was like Scarface, The Godfather, and then King of New York, and I was like, what? And then it shows like a bunch of like
Well, there's a lot of hip hop in
lyrics.
King of New York. Like Schoolie D was all over that soundtrack. Do you remember like Schoolie D? He was like a hardcore, like Abel Ferrara used Schoolie D on his soundtracks for a while in the
I
80s.
really want to check out like Bad Lieutenant and all Abel Ferrara's movies for
Yeah, he's
sure.
one of my he's one of my favorites. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure he's still making shit today though. Like I just
I
look,
know he is.
I'm
He's
really
just
I'm a
like
Wikipedia guy. Like I'll Wikipedia everything. Like after I watch a movie, like people always yell at me while I'm in the middle of a movie because I'm on my phone. And I'm like I'm looking at the Wikipedia for the movie so I understand more about it. Like I'm not looking at the
Right.
plot. Like I'm looking at like where it was shot.
For
Just
sure,
because.
yeah. But like all people know is what they see, so they just see someone with a phone and they flip out.
Yeah, but I don't know. I used to be like hate people that were on phones, but like now I understand. Like information is a curse,
The
but it's still
intentions are
fun.
right, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So your favorite film is The Shining. What other Kubrick films do you enjoy?
Uh, I only say The Shining because that's probably like the film that I've just seen more than any other film. As weird as that sounds,
You haven't seen
that
any
film.
other Kubrick movies?
No, just like in general, like that's like a film that I've seen like 100 times. I'm just obsessed with that film. But no, I've seen most of Kubrick films. Lolita was like one of my favorites for a while, and The Killing. Um, Full Metal Jacket, I think, is the first half is just like undeniably perfect. There you go.
Yeah, I like the second half a lot too, but I do think the first half, like I watched the first half, like when I first watched it, like I watched the first half and really turned it off, and then I started to learn appreciation for the second half, just like, and I
Yeah,
realized it's broken down into like three different sections when you
that's
really
kind of what
look
he
at it.
does. Like,
It's like three
you
short
know,
films, really.
Clockwork Orange is kind of like two halves of a film. He's violent, then he's not violent.
Yeah,
I mean, Kubrick is, yeah, I mean, he's great.
yeah. I think what's interesting about him is the stupid conspiracy theories about him as well. Like that's how you know he like makes really captivating movies, is like some amazing conspiracy theory about him, which I don't really fully agree with, but it's like his shouts out to him for being so relevant, and he's been like dead for 21 years, so
Yeah, for sure. Actually, it's funny. Like, I used to work in New York City for like 3 years, at least going back to like 2007, 8, 9,
yeah.
10, 11, around that time. And I was in a subway station in Queens, and right behind the vending machine where you get your Metro card to go on the subway, there was an archived Eyes Wide Shut poster from 1999.
It's
And
still up there.
yeah, well, I mean, this was like 12 years ago now, but like it was probably like, no, it was like 2011. I think that was the time that I saw it. And so it might still be up there, but it was literally like finding buried treasure. Like that's what it felt like. And I kept it there because I wanted to like, keep this historical monument. to remain where it
Monument.
was.
I don't understand any division of that movie at all. Like Eyes Wide Shut. Like I never understood why it has like. Some people say that like, oh, it's not his best. Like I really love that movie, and I just don't like when people think it's just an orgy movie. It's not.
Yeah, well, that's what the scene that always stands out to me in that film is when Tom Cruise like begins his odyssey, when he goes out into the middle of the night by himself and he's walking by himself down the sidewalk, and there's like this group of frat kids, like college frat kids, and they shove him into the car and they like call him like, you know, names and all that. That scene stands out to me the most because I was like, wow, you've literally just made me feel sorry for the biggest movie star on the planet. Like I felt bad for Tom Cruise. Like I felt bad for him.
He's not just like that macho fucking spy character. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's he's something different. You know, that's my favorite Tom Cruise movie, if I'll be honest. Maybe top 3.
Born the 4th of July is probably the one that I go to the most. Yes. But you know, like Jerry Maguire I love, and Magnolia.
Did you hear? I loved his rant on set. Like,
yeah, I actually thought it was justified.
Yes, I agree. Like, just safety is key. That's all I'll say about that.
Yeah. I mean, especially on a film of that size, like there's no excuse for like not following protocols because you have the money to follow those protocols efficiently. And and you know, people say it's a publicity stunt and all this nonsense. I mean, Tom Cruise is, you know, if he's gonna like make a statement about that, you know, if anyone's gonna make a huge statement about that, it's someone like Tom Cruise to do it on a set. And you know, it had to be said.
My favorite part about Eyes Wide Shut is like just this in general, the street, like when he's walking in the street, like when he's angry and pissed off walking down the street. Not like the frat boy scene, not just that. That's a good one as well. But like when he's being followed and shit towards the end, that's real good. Like in the end scene with the Ziegler guy, where he's like, those aren't normal people. Like if you found out what people were in that if you found out what people were there, you wouldn't sleep well at night. Like what that implies. You know what I mean?
You know, like that film, like I don't really remember like a lot of specific scenes from it, only because like that film to me is like it comes off the way I think it's intended, where it comes off like a dream that I just had, where you just kind of remember pieces of it, you know?
Yeah. And
I haven't seen it that many. It's, you know, it's a 3-hour. I remember the first act a lot more because it was like the first act was kind of based in reality, like with the woman like overdosing at the party, and he's like coming to help her, like when he's you know, and the 2 women are flirting with him and at the party when he's in the tuxedo, and like I remember that stuff, and you know, I remember like the opening credits, which I loved, and you know, the Lily Sobieski's part, and you know, the scene with the piano man, and but yeah, I should rewatch
that on the piano. Yeah, like it's just two notes. It's just like boom. It's like
that's cool.
C sharp C, like it's just like simple as shit. But
yeah,
and but also like I really compare that movie to Rosemary's Baby, but I feel like it's a bit better than Rosemary's Baby. Have you seen Rosemary's Baby? Do you care for it?
Yeah, no, I like it. I mean, I think it's like a dark comedy more than a horror film. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a little long, but you know,
And the ending, I didn't like the ending though. I feel like she should have just killed. She should have either killed the baby or just like ran away.
Yeah, well, have you seen there's like this film that I don't even think got distribution. It's called Delivery. It's a found footage movie from 2013. I saw it at the LA Film Festival, and I don't really think it got released because the ending is so effed up, and but it deals with, I'll say it deals with a pair of scissors and a baby's head. I'll say that much. That's all I'll say.
I'm gonna write that down though. I'm gonna write that down as well. The Delivery.
I it's just called Delivery. I think it was 2013, 2014.
So you saw it, but it never really released.
Yeah, because I never really, because it was, the ending makes the whole, because the movie leading up to the ending is actually pretty subpar, but like the ending makes the whole experience.
So you're talking about New York. You were acting there before you got into filmmaking. Like, you described your American Academy of Dramatic Arts experience as educational yet very political. How do politics have something to do with an acting school?
It was just like kind of like groomed you a little bit for how other businesses can work, where there's like the second year that they're kind of grooming everyone for the first year to see who's going to make the cut for the second year, and then after that they groom even less people to see who's going to make what's called company, which is their third year, where they start putting on one act plays for like agents to come to and all that. It was a whole thing, and I didn't make it a second year, and I remember someone saying that like, oh, he's meant more for like comedy acting and we're more serious acting school. Yeah, well, I mean, like that's I have done some there's some YouTube videos that I made like years ago that showed some of my comedic skills as an actor. It's not exactly high quality filmmaking, but the acting is kind of hilarious to watch as a nostalgia trip down memory lane. But yeah, I mean, it just it's really all about like people that I say it was political, but like who knows? Maybe I just wasn't good enough. I mean, like that's part of it as well. But I did think there was a lot of sort of kissing ass that a lot of people had to do.
So it was just like a lot of appealing to the higher ups instead of like working on the craft. Is that what you meant?
Yeah, and not to say these people, because some of the people that got accepted in the second year were quite good, but then there were some people that I was kind of questioning a little bit, but again, maybe I get like I do think half of it was because at the time I wasn't really meant for like serious acting, like dramatic acting. So I think that was certainly part of it, what they saw. But the other half, I think I just didn't really. I just don't really suck up to people. I just don't really kiss ass or try to like, try to latch onto people like that.
Yeah. So, what off-Broadway shows did you do? Like, what were you most proud of out of all your acting, in terms of like what you actually played?
Well, none of them really. I mean, like none of them. I really. I
appreciate the honesty, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I just. I mean, there was like this Christmas show that I did like in 2009 that was actually pretty successful. Like Conan O'Brien promoted it in his monologue twice, in his opening monologue. So it got a lot of traction. It was performing in Greenwich Village, and then it moved to a different theater in Soho, I think. And so I did 2 plays with this company over the course of 2 years. And one was like a super late night show that was not very successful. That was the second one. And then the first one was this Christmas show that was very successful because it was seasonal. So that's always going to be more of a niche that you could profit off of. But I played like 5 characters in that thing. And I guess that one, just because it was the most successful financially, but I never really like had much success as an actor. Just a lot of black box plays and smaller plays. And
we're here though, you know what I'm saying? But you got some fucking
good
movies out.
Well, I appreciate that. If anybody asks me to like do a bit part in a movie or a TV show or a short that like I thought that it was a good character and I didn't have to do it for a long period of time, then I would probably I mean, I would certainly think about it, because I'm not ruling acting out completely. I just don't want to like someone would have to ask me to like come and do something.
You're not openly asking people to be involved with that. Like you're just kind of like you'd rather do other things in the entertainment world.
Yeah, because I think I just I mean I would rather get into podcasting than get back into acting. Like, because I think podcasting is an awesome, and I think podcasting is only going to get more popular because of COVID and the way the industry.
Yeah, I do know a couple podcasts that have started in during like as soon as the lockdown started. Mine, but other ones as well. But like, podcasting is fucking awesome, and it's not like I can still do other creative stuff as well while doing podcasting. It doesn't like
Yeah, it's a great way
take
of
up a
self-expression.
majority of my time. Like I still do music production, like just like making beats, and I still write scripts while I'm doing, like not in the middle of when I'm fucking podcasting, but like I still can
Right,
put
yeah.
something out and I'm not tired. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right,
I
right.
can still go open, what do I use? Writer duet or whatever the fuck, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you had a 40-minute mockumentary. Do you care to share any
Yes.
information about that?
Well, this is like, this is touching on a whole other life that I had in New York City, which was very different than the life I've had in Los Angeles. Because New York City was all acting. That was all an acting life. But it was a movie called Quiet on the Set. It was from 2010. It is on YouTube. It Don't go in expecting an extraordinary piece of art. Don't go in expecting high production quality, because it was literally just myself running the show. There was really no crew, and it was a very cheap old camera from like 1999. But that was kind of a creative justification because I wanted it to look really grainy and kind of borderline shitty, because it kind of looked like, I just wanted it to look like an old fake documentary, like This Is Spinal Tap or something. And but it was the first thing I had ever made from beginning to end. But again, at the same time, I was more focused on acting at the time than making like a great film. And so I just, put together an ensemble of like actor friends that I had, and we just kind of made this. I mean, I still think if you could make it to the second half of the movie, because I think the second half, like the 20-minute mark and on, I think is some really hilarious things in there. The first half I think is pretty funny too, but it's really, there's some stumbling. There's some filmmaking stumbling in there, pacing wise.
Okay, yeah.
Not to say, I mean, I hate to give a review of it before you watch it, but I'm just.
I'll probably check it out.
Now that you're probably going to be thinking of that, if you watch it, yeah.
I've seen probably like 3 or 4 of your shorts, probably.
Okay.
Like I've seen White Trash was a good one.
Yeah.
Blue, that's one I rewatched though. Out of all the shorts I rewatched Blue and stuff.
Yeah.
I have a question about your journalism and blogging. Like, what forms of that have you gotten yourself into?
Well, I don't really take it super. At least not right now. I don't really. I've written like articles on Medium, and I did like a blog like years ago. That looking back at it now is kind of hard to stomach reading it, but it was very juvenile. But like now, I think I found more of a footing as a writer, because I do consider myself more of a writer at this point in my life. Maybe I wouldn't have said that 5 years ago, but now I think seeing like the realities of the business financially, I see I've had to force myself to really find my footing as a writer. And so, yeah, I've written some like articles on Medium, but again, I don't really take them super seriously. I mean, I certainly put effort into them, but it's more just like a creative outlet. Yeah, I do it for fun. Yeah.
Another form of expression, but you still don't take it as seriously as your films.
No. And maybe one day I will. I just right now they're kind of like niche articles, and people want to read them. Go for it.
Yeah. I want to bring up one though. The top 10 female filmmakers. You added the American Psycho filmmaker Mary Harron. That's the only Mary Harron film I've seen. Do you have any other recommendations of Mary Harron films?
Yeah, I shot Andy Warhol, which is I want to say her first film.
That's correct.
It was like 95, 96. Like Michael Imperioli's in that film, and Lily Taylor's in that film, and it's I think it's great. It's one of those like great indie 90s films, and she made a film called The Notorious Betty Page as well, with Gretchen Mol, about the pinup model in the 60s or 50s. So she's just like, I mean, I love like, I'm happy with like what's going on right now with a lot of like female storytellers, but at the same time, I've never really thought that I really think that, I mean, there's been so many fantastic female storytellers, even like long before the Me Too. I mean, it's opened up a lot more doors for women, but like, there's been a lot of like really extraordinary female talent for like 30 straight years, and
What's
just
that
women
one
that
girl who made this one movie last year with like no 2019 with like Aquafina or some shit?
The Farewell.
Yeah, that got a lot of
Um,
traction.
I
And
actually didn't see that film.
me neither. I'm just saying.
Yeah, started watching on a plane. I'm like, yeah, this is not the kind of film to watch on a plane. So I just stopped watching them.
Dude,
But I just,
2019. Let's be honest. 2019 was a great year for movies.
I agree. It was a great year for box office too. I mean, it was a great year for movies. It was one of the best years, I thought.
And like from a standpoint of like commercial movies, but also like quote unquote indie movies, like not really fully indie movies, but like smaller movies that have like a certain cult like following, like Uncut Gems, the
Right?
Lighthouse.
The Art of Self Defense. I don't know if you saw that. I thought that was really good.
I heard of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like a lot of iconic 2019 movies. I'm gonna wrap this up in about 5 minutes. I got a couple more questions for you. Have you worked with Lloyd Culberson on other projects?
Uh, no, I mean Lloyd. We kind of came up together a little bit. He's a guy that I was friends with a lot of people from this school, from a school called Playhouse West in North Hollywood, which is an acting school, and so I mean a lot of the actors in Drifter are from that school, and Lloyd, I
Who
believe,
specifically? From who else from Drifter was in it?
uh, all of them with the exception of like a couple. Not, I'd say like 90% of the actors in that film were from that school. Um, and but yeah, I mean Lloyd, I've known him for like since like for like 6 years or so, and I, he's a super prolific. I mean, he makes a lot of like, I mean, he's dark. He's hardcore into like Gaspar Noé and Larry Clark and Harmony Korine, and but he is a true artist. Like he is the definition of an artist. Like and he's an actor too. Like he will lose 50 pounds. He will be bones for a role. Like he is a true hardcore artist. And so I liked that in him because I knew he was an actor as well. And so him and I have been talking about making a short film together for years. And finally, 2019, we did it. And because I just knew that he was going to, really go for it and try to do something pretty full on.
Yeah.
But,
so, and obviously the result was pretty fire. Did you get any other? What did someone else besides me say about Blue? Like, what did your friends show them when you? What did your friends say when you showed it to them?
They all seemed to like it. My mom hated it. I don't know why I showed it to her. I don't. Yeah, she just she hated it. I really didn't know I had no idea if people were going to go for this thing at all. I was just like, yeah, I'm just going to post it and just see. I'll post it for like 48 hours and see how people respond to it. And then I've showed it to like other people in the last like couple months or so, just, people that knew the actor, and they're like, hey, did you know that like I actually made a short film with that guy recently?
Yeah.
And so they seem to like it too. So, I mean, that was kind of like, I was surprised. I was surprised by the response by it. It seems like the more full on you go, the more unfiltered you go, people seem to like it more than if you hold back and try to be mainstream. So like, that's what because I made something a few months after that with a female friend of mine, and I kind of did it was a similar kind of DIY short, and I tried to do something very mainstream, just kind of like something that's fun, and it didn't really get the same response.
What is that?
So I kind of just took it off online.
You took it off?
Yeah, I took it off. I just didn't really.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of it's complicated. It's
Yeah. You don't gotta go in if you
Yeah.
don't want to go to. You don't gotta go into it if you don't want to go into it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, how'd you become a part of CAA?
I had when I was developing Monster Party with my friend Eric, who's the producer that was responsible for getting that movie made. And I really owe a lot to him. I was developing with him in the beginning, and and then when the script got to a place that he really loved it, he decided, all right, we got to take this development process to the next level. We got to get you representation to help package this thing. And so then he introduced me to my manager at a company called Grandview, which had only been around for 2 years when I signed with them. Now they're like, I mean, they're really doing great stuff now. But my manager and I really hit it off, and then my manager was the one that ended up getting me signed with CAA, because he had gone to college with he was college roommates with my agent. But I talk to my manager like every pretty frequently, him and his assistant. I talk to my agent like every now and then. That's for like very specific, when like deals are being made, when something's being like, when money comes into the equation.
It's not your everyday. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like every day like you're chatting with the.
No. It's not that kind of.
It's just when you're like, I got something ready, I want to prepare. Let's get this.
It's when something's like ready to start. He'll be on certain calls when something's being said, but like it's really my manager. I mean, he's the guy that he's my guy.
Yeah. Let me see what else we could cover. I feel like we covered a lot. So, do you have anything you want to announce about anything you got working on? Anything you've been working on before we end this interview?
I mean, there's a few things. Like I said, it's because of like, what's going on in the world. It's kind of hard to really know when anything is going to be greenlit. But there is a feature film that we're deep into. But when it's going to be shot, I'm not quite sure. I want to say this year. I think the world just needs to settle. But like, there's other like writing things that I'm doing. I mean, I think I've sort of kind of now, with the state of the industry, kind of figuring things out. I kind of, instead of committing every waking second to trying to get the next movie made and trying to kill myself trying to do that, I kind of swapped approaches and kind of focused more on just being prolific as a writer, whether I direct the stuff or not, and kind of almost treat getting movies made as a side hustle, because it's just and that was a harsh reality that I learned a couple years after I got signed, was like how unbelievably complicated and slow and hard it is to actually get feature films made.
What do you mean it's a side hustle, though?
Well, like something that I like every year I'll write a script that I plan on making myself, on top of like other things that I'll write that I don't necessarily need to direct. But it's something that I guess like you can't look at like making feature films as like your primary source of income, like a job. Like you have to really kind of work. This business is like a science that I'm just starting to get, and it took me a while. It took me a few years to kind of really crack the code of this industry, and maybe I still haven't cracked it, but I certainly know how to adapt, I feel, going forward. And feature films will always be like part of me, like getting feature films made. But I feel like I've found more satisfaction in writing lately, but like feature films is just something that if I can make a feature film like once a year, that would be great. But the world doesn't always work that tidily, and and it's not like these are like and look, I could go off and get some people together and make a super non-union indie feature. I mean, I'm talking to another producing partner, a friend of mine, we're talking about just doing that.
You're tempted to just go all out with just a couple buddies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, he's been talked about that. I mean, he's been in the business for like 20 years, but him and I did go out to Illinois like early December, and because we have access to all these locations, and so like that was, and he's been talking about setting something up, just like something super like just do it totally independently, and so like so it's kind of like these two different features that one I'm way deeper into, and then one other that's kind of we're in the throes of it, or early stages of it. Like there's no script, there's just an outline. But there's locations that we have access to, so that they're both kind of like in pretty good places development wise. But yeah, I think any advice I'd give to like filmmakers wanting to make a career in this industry, I think just get great at, because I directed my way into the business, and I don't know if I would recommend that to people. I think.
What do you mean?
Like I feel like it's better if you write your way into the business, like become great at writing, and then the films will come together organically after that. But I just didn't. I was very, very impatient, and not going to film school or college and having those built-in relationships. I just kind of approached it. I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to create a portfolio, and just keep hustling and networking and meeting people, and just create this body of work. That at a certain point someone's going to notice something, and but I would just but now I'm at that point where it's like, well, I'm kind of like I would just tell people to like just get great at writing first before
that's more important.
Definitely.
Yeah that's all we really could cover. Yeah, I'm gonna end it now. Thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. Big fan of movies, and I'll definitely be following everything you'd be releasing. Like, for real, I really enjoy it all, and I'm like a kid in a candy store right now. You know what I mean? I'm just
that's
hyped,
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. I mean, you're a big. I'm really happy with your support, and like watched even the short films too. Because a lot of people don't know about those short films, and that kind of really bums me out. Because a lot of work was put into those things for like a long period of time, and I hate when people say like, oh, he's made a couple movies, because I just like, well, I mean, there's a whole other sub body of work out there that you could watch if you care to. But so I'm happy you watched them all, man. That's awesome.
If you want to check out the short films, go to his Vimeo. I'm probably gonna link that down below because there's some good stuff. I'd say like White Trash and Blue and Fuel Junkie, probably the best out of them. You also get a couple demo reels and links below to his social media as well. Thanks for coming on, man.
For sure, yeah. I mean, you can go to my website too. It's just myname.com. It has everything on there. So chrisvonhoffman.com. Pretty simple. Everything's on there. So, but cool, man.
All right.